So today we're talking with Darren Langile. Darren is the CEO and founder of Redline Real Estate, an independent brokerage that joined Real Broker. Today he's going to go over some of the tools and technology that Real offers him to help him manage over 75 agents on his team. Darren, how you doing today?
Awesome, man. Excited to talk about this topic. As you can probably tell, it's near and dear to my heart because running a group like this is not easy. And whenever there's some tools that are a little bit better that are coming down the pipeline, well, I can't help but get a little excited. So yeah, thanks for
Yeah,
having me to talk about it.
absolutely, man. I'm super excited. Real launched some new tools and new technologies and programs that help independent brokerages and large teams specifically. So I'm pretty excited to kind of dive in, get your feedback on some of these things and how you may be implementing them. Do you mind starting off? Just tell me a little bit about Redline Real Estate. What your team looks like.
Yeah, well, you and I are a long ways apart. I'm out here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, so 3 hours north of the Montana border in our market. So I ran an independent brokerage from '09 to the time we decided to come to Real. And as you know, that was in 2021 when Canada launched. And when they launched in my market. So we looked at it pretty heavily, as you know, Malcolm, and we wanted to look at it through the lens of our agents. Like, what's going to be better for them? Is it better to stay indie, which is what, I built and a lot of independents have built, and there's some pride around that. Or is it better to bolt onto a platform like Real at that point that would give a leg up to our group, right? So that was the thing. Yeah. So we grew that thing for years. We had 75 agents at the time when we made the decision to come to Real. 73 of the 75 came. So it obviously landed pretty well for most folks. And yeah, here we are 2.5 years later. My Redline group is now turned from a brokerage to, we continue to use the name, right? Redline Real Estate, now powered by and at Real Brokerage, partnered with. And it's a great add-on to what we could offer, right? To our consumers, right? What's changed? They just see us now backed by this publicly traded entity. There's more legitimacy than just off the backs of my own personal bank account. You know what I mean? Or corporate bank account. So yeah, that was that. And that group now sits like 88 realtors running into my Redline family, and the Real Broker platform allowed us to expand into a couple new markets in our own province, just to do it and handle some of the workflow and some of the ability that I couldn't do independently, or the cost prohibitive. So it's been kind of neat to see us kind of grow in our local market, but also grow with the Redline brand wider too. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. So I co-founded it. I'm still in sales. I do a lot of agent coaching and supporting. And then I'm a huge advocate for what Real Broker's been doing for us.
Yeah, I love that, man. It's such a great story. And Real, we have some of the best technology, in the industry. So it's great that you can leverage that technology. And so if you have, now your brokerage is now a team at Real and you have 80 plus agents on there, I'm sure like that comes with some very unique challenges that, smaller teams may not really understand. What are some of the challenges of just managing, and overseeing that many agents on a team?
Yeah, I think it's a good point, especially coming from an independent, right? As an independent brokerage running that group of people, you controlled everything, right? It was your softwares, it was your technology, it was your conveyancing team, it was your back end systems. So managing things like, splits and the caps and fee structures that you had done to grow your independence. Many independents have multiple different layers, and right, and like most franchises out there, some people have a deal, some people don't. Some people have this, some people don't. When you leave independence, there's a bit of a fear to say, well, shoot, I was in control of all of that so that I could manage it and I can deal with all of the nuances. But then coming to Real, we had to say, well, how could we handle this, right? Well, when we first came, it was early in some of the technology where we could manually do it with our administrators, not a lot differently than when we had to do that, in as independent anyways, but now in somebody else's tech that they're paying for, I'm not paying for. It started to make economic sense, right? But now, like what you're talking about, Malcolm, Real's rolled out this thing called ProTeams, which is giving us that incredible flexibility to just set it in the system, and their tech is so far beyond what I ever had on my own that all of those nuances are going to be programmed into our proprietary system. So
Hmm.
as deals come in and get managed, me as a team leader get to be like, thankfully, I don't have to spend half of my administrator's hours to manage all of this money that needs to be collected, right? Now it's going to be automatic in our system. That is a huge weight off independent or former independent broker owner to, mega team group like what I run now. And I think you're feeling it the way I'm feeling. A lot of these groups like mine across Real Broker really excited just about how much it's going to make it better for the agent because they don't have to
Right.
worry about doing it. And then the admin team and then us as leaders, we know it's all captured and it's all in a system that's integrated into everything else we do. So game changing, right? Game changing for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I know, teams that still kind of manage everything on a spreadsheet. If
Huh.
especially if like the brokerage has a cap and then the teams like, oh, well, we have a cap, then we have like a diminishing cap on the team. And they literally every single transaction they have to enter this stuff into a spreadsheet, which I'm sure is, not always the most accurate thing and just really cumbersome and
Big time.
tiresome.
Yeah,
So that's
that's
fantastic.
exactly our situation in a sense. So we had some agents on split X. We had this kind of like initial split for the agents that came with us. They had
Hmm.
this split, and they also had a cap because there's only so much that I was charging them in the past. So there's only so much I can charge them now. We had to manually manage that, right? And then all the new wave of agents that joined us, they were on a different cap and a different split because they came later. They weren't grandfathered into my old plan. And then there's stuff in between. So, like you said, flat fee charges. Well, that can be managed. And then on the back end, Real carves off their splits that they need to pay the split that we all have to pay. But to the agent, it doesn't look and feel any different.
Right.
It's just one thing managed for you. I don't know how many hours that's going to save, Malcolm, but I know I'm excited for it. And then it's not just like saving hours, but now what as a team leader could you do with those administrators with the gained hours to help grow your business now? That gets me excited, right? What can they do to serve our agents better? A lot more than what they were doing before, just playing with spreadsheets, right?
That's a really good point. I mean, if you have 80 plus agents and you have an admin that's tracking all this data in a spreadsheet, trying to figure out who owes what, how many hours, hundreds of hours a year, is she spending on that for, 80 plus agents? And as you
Yeah.
scale, it just goes up higher. So yeah, if you can replace all that just with some software on the back end that kind of calculates all that for you, set it and forget it. Absolutely. I can see that being really valuable. And yeah, you're absolutely right about I've heard of teams synthesizing what looks like a flat fee for their agents as well. So essentially, they charge their agents $500 or $700 per transaction flat fee. And Real, as long as they get their half cap for those agents or whatever it may be, they don't. They're very flexible on how you charge those fees, and they can kind of synthesize like a flat fee like that, which is really really interesting. Now, Real also launched, they launched ProTeams, which is this software, and they also launched Private Label
Sure.
as well. Could you may be more familiar with that than I am? Can you talk a little bit about what that is and like what the benefits
Yeah.
are of that?
So the pro team model is, it's kind of like if you look at my mug here, right? It's like my brand is Redline, and but we're loud and proud about Real Broker, right? And we were excited about that. So like our agents, and as we grow and share the opportunity with others, there's some people that might join our Redline group, right? As team leaders, you're always trying to attract, right? And then but some people just join you for real, right? And they're so excited because they see the excitement in agents, the things that you probably talk about on your other videos, like the fee splits and the low cost to be here, and then all those reward layers that come from Real, right? Stocks and share purchase plans. Well, I was excited about that. But the private label in the jurisdictions that allow for it basically say, well, I might have a brand that I just don't want to muddy the waters with. I might have a really strong independent brand that rolls all the way up the California coastline. And the idea of bringing on another brand with me isn't exciting because maybe I've got a 30-year tenure with this. And I'm talking to a group like this right now, where the private label things allow you to just keep all of that on the front end. So the world, your agents, the consumers, nothing changes. But now the back end of Real doesn't have to be even represented on your front, right? It's all behind the scenes. And that's when broker owners get to leverage all the tech and the operations and reduce their personal expenses. but they get to keep their image on the front end of things, and that's it. Now, those agents, though, inside of that new white private labeled brokerage run by Real in the background, they still get all the incredible benefits that you and I know we talk about every day, but they don't have to have it on their jersey,
Right.
right? And every state and every province is different on whether you want, and every business owner would see that as which way they want to play on the fence. But it's
Yeah.
amazing that Real's providing that platform to give these really strong brands the ability to stay that way, yet, benefit from everything else.
Yeah, I think it's very in line with the culture of the company here, where it doesn't feel like I'm working for a brokerage, right? When I'm at a franchise brokerage, which I've been at, I feel like I'm working for them. Here, like they're here to support our businesses and what is best for us. And if somebody thinks that having their own private brand, not associated, is best for them, Real's all about that. Like they're here to support our businesses, and I love that. I think it says a lot about the culture of the company here. Well, Darren, man, I really appreciate your time. Definitely eye-opening, and you really kind of, gave me some food for thought here about, the power behind this private label and the ProTeams platform that we have now.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I mean, it's just a start, right? You and I know how many people have transitioned over the last couple of years as we've
Yeah.
known each other, but you're seeing an influx now because of both of these options, right? The big guys and gals are running these firms. We have to not only build the case, but we have to build the operational capacity that makes it easy. Because transitioning 75 people in my case, it was a 90-day journey with a 90-day prep plan, and it was a year-long stability plan. You
Mm,
don't need that anymore. You can do it much better, much more efficient with better workflow. And then we pride ourselves on the tech side. So the tech is now making it all a reality. So I think we're going to see a lot more exciting groups join us because of this. So yeah, thanks for letting me share my take on it. And I mean, we're about to roll onto it as a beta tester inside of Canada. So all of the stuff I'm not fully integrated into, but I'm really excited because we're having those front end conversations. So I'll
right.
report back to you, my friend.
All right, Darren, appreciate your time.
All right. Cheers.